Hey everybody, new year, same build, still working on the plane. It's going to take a couple more years. I had originally set my finish date to be February 2020. Man, I don't think so. I probably am going to miss that by a year or two, but I'm going to keep working on it. I get that question often. That's the reason I bring it up. But the other thing I get all the time is, you can see in the background, I'm working on that center spar still, and I'm going through and I'm doing the riveting all those parts on, which is the step that I'm currently on. And I get a lot of people asking about riveting. It seems like one of the most common questions I get is people are afraid of riveting. You've never done it before, I get it. It can be scary. I had never done it before I started work on this plane. It is not hard. I think you're going to get a little mental block more than anything. It's not a difficult process. There are so many other things in this plane that to me is far more scary, like working with fiberglass and doing the top. That is far more scary to me than riveting. Just keeping track of everything, and then the scale, like the amount of time that it takes to do this, to me is far more scary than riveting. But for those of you that have never riveted before, I've touched on it a couple times before, but I'll show you again what I'm talking about. It's really easy. All right, so I'm going to try to go into this a little bit to give you guys some idea of how easy it is, and your fears are unfounded. It is just not that big of a deal. I've got my trusty rivet gun here. I've got a whole thing of rivets. I've got dropped my bucking bar. Don't drop your bucking bar. Got my bucking bar. Got a camera right here set up so that you actually see what I'm doing. So as I place one of the rivets in the holes, like so, I can show you that, I place the gun directly on the rivet and I leave it there. This is the most important thing. You hold this here and you don't move it. And the reason for that is because of this rounded head. You can kind of see that this rounded head, it's the shape of the head here, right? And by holding it on here, when you're doing the riveting, you don't want it to kind of bounce around. Otherwise, it's going to mangle and booger up that head. You want to leave that on there, right? Just like that. Then the next step is you take your trusty bucking bar, you slam it into the back. I say slam it. You put it in there very gently up against it. I kind of use my fingers as guides, and then you do the trigger and you rivet the rivet. Now I'm going to show you that here, and I'm going to try to make this as clear as possible. It's going to be a little bit loud, so you'll hear it, but bear with me. So, all right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put the gun up here. I'm going to hold it with a good firm grasp. Then, moving camera. There we go. Then I'm going to take the bucking bar. I'm going to find the rivet like so, and I will, get down here with it sometimes like so. And then I'm just going to give it a couple quick bursts. 1, 2, 3. All right. There you go. There were your quick bursts. Now, I did not immediately pull away the gun. The gun is still sitting here. And then put down the bucking bar, take out your trusty rivet testing tool, and check it. It needs another slight hit. And let me show you exactly why that is. So the reason I say this needs another hit is because when I put this tester on here like this, you can see that it fits a little too well. Like if I go over this other one, the idea behind it is, well, that's a bad example. There we go. The idea is you can put that tester on there and it'll just stay on there. And then the way you use this side is you drag this across the rivet, and if it stops, then you've done a good job. It's not too flat. And so neither of these are too flat. This one's too tall because it fits on here, and there's gap. There's air gap around this hole and around the rivet. So we're just going to give it another pop and test again. And now when I put it on there, it sits on there just right. And testing it this way, it stops when you've got both the teeth against the metal. So there you go. I hope that explains everything. It's just not that hard. Like I said, everyone is terrified of riveting, like they're going to mess it up. Can you under rivet? Absolutely. I showed that in my example. If that hole and the rivet itself, there's like air gap between the rivet and the hole when you put the tool over it, then yeah, you've under riveted slightly. Can you over rivet? Absolutely. The good way to do that, test that, is the other end of that shop too has two prongs and then kind of an area that the idea is the rivet, when you're pushing it through there, should stop. It actually should clip the top of that. If it doesn't, if you push the rivet through there and it just swipes right by, then you've probably over riveted it. But unless you've riveted that thing, bucked that thing completely flat, it's not going to be that bad. Which is worse is a common question I get, slightly over rivet or slightly under rivet. I think slightly under riveting is worse. Now, this is where I would like you guys to comment down below. Some of you guys have done way more rivets than I have. So if you have an opinion about this, I would love to hear from you. Please comment down below. But as I understand it, slightly under riveting is actually worse because it is possible for the parts to pull off. Slightly over riveting, that's less likely. Now, if you completely over rivet, like if you just mash that shop head flat against the part, then there's nothing for it to hold on to and it's just going to break and pull free. So you want to use your tool, you want to get it right, and take your time. I mean, that's the big thing. Take your time. I mean, this is a years-long project. So take your time doing your rivets and be consistent about how you're doing your rivet set. You heard me when I did it. I usually do it in 3 pulls, sometimes 4, depending on the rivet. Other people do it in just one long hit, you know, and just as long as you're consistent about it, consistency is king. So be consistent, test your rivets, make sure they're the right size, and most of all, don't be afraid of it. It's just not that big of a deal. Like I said, there's other things about this that are a lot more scary to me than riveting. Like the electrical for me, I was thinking about that. Electrical for me, I know nothing about electronics, so that's something else that's scary for me. Riveting's cake. Don't worry about it. All right, well, I just finished that piece up there. That is the forward bulkhead. This is page 25-4, and I've just gone through and I've assembled all the bits and pieces for the aft bulkhead. That includes, looks like more seat rail supports and these, I guess this is probably going to be supporting, you know, a larger part of the frame is what these are for. And then of course you've got these hat stiffeners, which I'm going to have to cut, take all the bluing off, obviously the protective bluing. One thing on the forward bulkhead that I did do was I added the 2 screws at the bottom of each of these risers. I didn't actually see in the plans, and I looked, where it says to screw those in. I just screwed them in softly for now. I didn't like really crank them down. I figured I'll go back and check every nut and bolt in this damn plane before it flies anyway, so that's not a problem. I put them down with enough force that they're not going to move. I'm not terribly concerned about it, considering that each of those bulkheads, these risers, have like 38 rivets in there, as well as they're going to have 4 big bolts across the top and 4 big bolts across the bottom. Those 2 bolts I'm not terribly worried about. So anyways, done that. Gonna work on this, and yeah, finding all the pieces. Again, organization is super important. Make sure you have everything. I went right to it, pulled it, no problem. So yeah, that's what we're working on next. So in the background, you can see I'm continuing to work. You can also see that I've got my space heater out there because I believe on this day it was like 20 degrees outside. And on that note, I've had a few people ask me what the status of my tanks are. They're on hold right now. I've got one tank is fully closed. You can see this tank on the right. It's closed, it's sealed. I'm just waiting to do my final test, which is to fill it full of fuel and let it, you know, set it up in various positions, see if I get any leaks. I am confident that that one's good. The other tank, I'm still testing the water tests, but it's 20 degrees. Well, it's actually pretty nice. It's like 32 out right now. So, but I don't want to deal with a bunch of water when it's freezing outside. So I'm just kind of waiting on those, and that's why I've moved on to working on the fuselage. And again, in the background, just drilling holes. Took all the bluing and whatnot off of that rear center spar section, and now I'm drilling the holes and getting ready to cleat all that together and rivet it all together. All right, and with that, we have finished step 2 on 25-5. So still working on the aft center section bulkhead here. Just did the countersinks. Got aluminum chips everywhere. I need to clean up my stuff. I'm not very good about cleaning up my stuff. Okay, so let's see what's next. Actually, right quick. So I did my apology video, right? I posted the apology video and I let everyone know that, hey, you know, this is the thing I did. I was wrong about the plans and I apologize to it. And I got some hate, weirdly. Most of you were actually like, hey, that was really great. Glad you did that. Integrity. Yeah. Yay. But some of you, well, a few people were a little more negative about it. And I deleted a couple comments because I thought they were just very unproductive. But one of the comments that I got was, I just noticed I missed a rivet. One of the comments that I got, though, was that effectively I needed to stop pretending to be an expert because I'm leading people astray, right? That. Let me just clarify that I'm not an expert. I've never said I was an expert. I've never implied that I was an expert. This is my build log, right? This is an amateur building a plane for the first time. I've never ever implied that I'm an expert at this and that I know what the hell I'm doing. In fact, I say just about every video that I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm doing. So please, if you're here looking for expert advice, I'm not the guy. You're at the wrong place. Call Vance. If you want to come along and enjoy building this plane with me and, you know, maybe make comments or observations or give me advice as I go, because a lot of that is what I want. I want people to tell me, hey, you did that wrong. Here's the better way to do it. That way, either next time I do it correctly or I go back and fix it so I don't kill myself when I'm flying, right? That's really what this is all about. It's a conversation. I'm not an expert. I never said I was an expert. So anyways, I just want to clarify there. Boy. You know, you open yourself up to comment on YouTube and you get some comments. You gotta have a pretty thick skin. Thankfully, I've got former career choices that have developed a fairly thick skin. So it's just bizarre, like what people think it's okay to comment. So anyway, all right, back at it. Step 3. Oh, that's this guy. So I had a pretty good question regarding my scotchbrite wheels. I've got that little Ryobi bench grinder over there. You can see me, I'm working on the background. I'm actually working on these hat stiffeners, which are on page 25-5, I think it is, step 3. You know, these came, you had to separate them and then you got to clean them up on the scotchbrite, you know, deburr and take off all the little jagged edges. Then you had to cut this at an angle. And then again, I'm going to deburr that so you have access to get to the rivet. So that's what I'm working on in the background. But the question was specifically about that Ryobi 6-inch bench grinder and if I had replaced both of the wheels with the scotchbrite pads or if I had something else on there. No, they're both 6-inch scotchbrite pads. I'll put a link down below as to which ones specifically I use. Actually, I'll just link the whole equipment that I do and it's down in there. The reason I have done both is one side I have on the left side, you'll see it's got the shroud still on, so it's still protected, and I've got that flat area, so I can run things across there and still kind of get a flat surface to work against. But I've also been going around that side, one side of it, kind of bending or curving that wheel so I can really get in there when I need to. The other side I'm trying to keep square. So that's why, and it's open. I don't have the shroud on it or the thing, so I have more access to get to it. So it's really just about having two different options. One side that has a gentle curve to it, which has found is useful, and the other side which is still square, so that I can do like this is square, so the wheel fits perfectly down in there, and I can actually do that. So both scotchbrite pad is the same. It's just two wheels of the same thing. The Ryobi, that little grinder I got at Home Depot for 20 bucks, 30 bucks, I mean, not much. And it works great. The actual grinding discs that came with it are around here somewhere. I don't know, well, I can throw them away. I never use the dang things. So anyways, I hope that answers your question. Do you need 2 of those 6-inch scotchbrite wheels? No, you could probably get away with 1, but I mean, you've got 2 wheels. And it's not like I'm gonna use that hard, I don't even know what the actual wheels are made of, whatever that stone wheel on aluminum. I mean, it would just chew it up. So anyways, I hope that answers your question. All right, so step 4 on page 25-5 was cleco everything together. Now step 5 is final drill, number 30, all the holes common between well, all the holes. So I'm going to flip this guy over and match drill all of these number 30 holes. Now on the hat stiffeners, only one flange has holes, so the other side is going to be match drilled through this. So show you here, only one side has holes, the other side doesn't. And so I'm going to place this on here, flip this sucker over, and part of the drilling process is going to be matching those holes. What I'll do is I'll do like one, flip it back over, cleco it down so this doesn't move, because there's the possibility of flexing while you're pushing the drill through, and then do all the rest. So that's what we're going to be doing now. All right, guys, with that, I'm going to continue working on in the background, drilling all those holes. There's a million freaking holes. So many holes in this plane, it's ridiculous. Going to keep doing that, and I want to say thank you all so much. I know this was a little late in coming. I've got a lot of projects in the fire right now, trying to get some new work going, and so it's kind of taken up all my time. Hopefully I will be able to step back up and continue doing these. I've already got another video close to in the can. This is actually a reshoot. I have some other things that are coming that I may or may not be able to disclose in the future, but I don't know yet. I do really appreciate you guys. If you want to support this, if you click the like button, I'd appreciate it. And if you want to support me on Patreon, you can jump over there. Now, I know some of you have asked me to find a different provider for various political reasons that I am aware of. I try not to talk about politics on this channel, though I do have an opinion. I hear you. I am looking for other options. Hopefully the two that you know who I'm talking about, who are supposed to be creating a new service, are going to do so, and we'll just go there. So anyways, thank y'all so very much. I appreciate your patience and your understanding. I'll see you next time.